everybody, before we start this episode of Tabletop Babble, I wanted to let you know that I created an original role-playing game from the ground up with Roll20. It is built for that virtual tabletop, and it's called Burnbright. Burnbryte. Burnbright. It's a science fantasy role-playing game where you play super-powered aliens at the end of existence. That's right. And there are mega corporations. You can be a cat person, a slug, a bug, many bugs, all kinds of different awesome alien heroes. A giant mech that you carry your friends around in. That is a character option. It is pretty cool. It's got some unique mechanics, and I would love for you to go check it out at burnbright.com. That's Burnbright, BRYTE.com. Okay, let's start the show. This is Tabletop Babble. I'm James Introcaso. Today on the show, I am talking with the one and only Krystina Arielle. Krystina is an amazing actor, creator, role player, artist in our industry. A cosplayer. We talk a lot about cosplay in this. Just a true nerd and awesome human through and through and through. It was amazing to have her on the show. I am a huge fan, have been for years. So I really wanted to get her on before my tenure as host was done. So here is my interview with Krystina Arielle. Okay, everybody. Now I'm here with one of my favorite people in the RPG community. Krystina, welcome to Tabletop Babble. For people who don't know, who are you and what do you do in the world of tabletop role-playing games?
Well, my name is Krystina Arielle. I have played on a lot of D&D streams, and I was on the Sirens show with Satine Phoenix. Now I played Vera Posset in Critical Role's Honey Heist 3. I played Alessandra Rayburton on Dice Camera Action. And, oh my gosh, I'm fishing. I played Kasha on Rise of the Veiled Alliance on LFM Network. I also played Bob on the Dimension 20 show Pirates of Leviathan. And I also cosplay, so you may have seen me as Wonder Woman, as Captain Marvel, flying in the air like, and I just do a lot of stuff. Oh, and I'm on the upcoming Into the Motherlands. Yeah. If you don't know me, I'm like, there's stuff for you to get to know me. I'm mildly entertaining.
Yeah, I would go so far as to say wildly entertaining. And so it's great to have you here because I think the world of you, and I think you're one of the people who is just a pure joy to watch role play, but also someone who clearly you have a professional acting background because you can also get a lot of emotion out of your characters. I think the first time I saw you was in Dice Camera Action, and I was like, oh, I need to find out so much more about Krystina because of your performance there, and because there was sort of this gut-wrenching detail related to your character's backstory. I don't know how spoilery I want to get for people who may be catching up or whatever. But so how did you get involved playing role-playing games? Take me all the way back to the first time you played.
Oh, man. So I've told this story as far as when I was younger, like I could play Nintendo by myself. I could do all those things. But as far as a big group game, that wasn't really something that was going to be in the cards for me. And that's something I wanted to do. Like I wanted to play. Like my old roommate, he used to have like this game on his shelf that was like a role play, and I'm like, we go play. And he's like, no, I'm going to watch people stream on the internet. And it's like, oh, what's the fun in that? No lie. And that's what I do now. And I played my first RPG game on Sirens.
Wow.
Like, I played that game. That was my first time. Like, I had like a session 0 with Satine where we like character built and everything else. Like she kind of explained the basics of it to me. And I think I found myself falling into it because I'm a natural ham. And so it's funny when people are like, you have a professional acting background. It's like, I did a stage play in Columbus, Georgia, and I did a short film. But other than that, I took like a 6-month acting class, which was awesome because they were like, the art, like it's like the art of empathy, like these feelings and like you becoming that person and putting yourself in these situations and visualizing it. And that's the thing that you do with these games is you are visualizing yourself in the scenario, and you have to play that. You have to play. I don't want to say play that up. You just have to play it honestly. And I believe in playing a character honestly. And sometimes I don't even know who my character is going to be until the first session. I just letting them develop, and ultimately they become part of you. And so in the games that I have played in the 3 years I've been doing this now, I just keep finding myself doing it. But how did that happen? There were gifts of me on the internet. I don't know if you see my Wonder Woman. And so the person that created that gift, Mobius, he was like, oh, you should meet Satine Phoenix. And I was like, oh, the lady with elf ears. I really like her. And so we ended up getting together. She and I went to lunch, and we sat and we talked, and we just like vibed off each other for almost 2 hours, just like in it. I love you. No, I love you. I just met you, but I know you. Like my heart knows you. And so a couple months later, she was like, you said you wanted to play. Here's your chance. Do you want to play on Sirens? I was like, yeah. And I've been trying to figure out what I'm doing ever since.
Wow. What's so cool about that is like a lot of people's first experience playing a role-playing game is among trusted friends. And even that can be scary and nerve-wracking, right? Because it's a new experience and you kind of got to put yourself out there a little bit, right? And maybe act in a way, inhabit a character, which isn't necessarily something everybody does with their friends. Your first experience was with an audience and a lot of people watching you. Do you think that helped or like hindered you jumping into the experience?
I try not to think about that aspect of it. Like, I know it's there. I'm not like, oh, I like to focus on the audio. Like, no, it's none of that. It's just, I try to be as present as I possibly can in all of those scenarios. And if I'm focused on that, then I'll just freak myself out and I have really bad anxiety. So it's like, I'm just playing with my friends. And that's what it is. I'm just playing with my friends. People get to watch it and enjoy that time with us. But at the core of it, I am just playing a game with friends. If they're not my friends yet, they will be by the time we're done. Because once you play a game with me, I'm like, hey, we're family. Which you can attest to. We have Dungeons, some Dragons together.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did a Jasper's Game Day stream in Eberron together, which was great. Like, that was a lot of good fun. And it was...
breaking into jail.
Exactly. Yeah. We had a heist. We broke into a jail. And it was...
so many puns.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun to be able to play with you. And it was one of those experiences where I, as a dungeon master, felt like I had very little effort to put in to make a good game because everybody was contributing so much, right? Which is great. Like when you play a game and everybody's kind of firing on all cylinders like that, it's really good. And you play a lot of games where people, you're playing with some of the best because you are one of the best, right? And so it is really cool to see you in these experiences with great players, and also cool to hear you say like it's just about you playing a game with your friends, right? Which I think kind of gets to the core of the role-playing game experience, right? I think the best games are the ones where it tunes in. Where I tune in and I feel like I'm there at the table with you, even if I'm not playing the game, right? So it seems like you've always been into like nerdy genre stuff, right? With your cosplaying. I know there is a video out there that I really like, which was like a take on Arrow, the TV show Arrow. Yeah.
It was Black Mask.
Yeah, it was so cool. It was so cool to see you as Black Mask.
No one ever lets me play the bad guy. I want to be a bad guy so bad.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
I do. I want to be like when we played Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. Mm-hmm. Why can't I never be the betrayer? I want to be the bad guy. I want to be the one that's like, "Rah!" And everybody's like, oh, shocker. I need that in my life. I need that energy. I need that, like, well, actually, for D&D Live this year, I was the cultist.
Yes, you were.
In the Mini Adventure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool. It was awesome. I got to do an evil cackle and everything.
When you play a character, is there like anything in particular that you like to do? You know, like do you prefer being bad guys over good guys? You know what I mean? Or is it more about what you haven't done, and so you're just looking to do some things you haven't done?
I just like to switch it up sometimes, and it's super fun, and to have the opportunity to be all these parts, and it gives you another look into no one is truly all good or all bad. Well, some people are just terrible, but like to seeing the different layers of people and getting to play different people. And I am very partial to ASMR cleric bards. That is just what I like. It is delightful for me. I don't know, like, I guess because that's what my first character was, and I am a bard, so that kind of, it's hard not to. And it's not because I want to showboat. Like, I very much believe in giving everyone space to have their moment and not kind of stepping on it. Like, a lot of games, I'll feel like I didn't really say much because I will lay back until, like, I feel like I'm not stepping on anyone's toes or on anyone's moment. Because I think it takes away from the experience if I'm, like, the bard that's trying to get in the thing and be, no, like, right now. Like, there's a time and a place. And I like to think that I know how to find that balance when I'm playing a character who is.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that's true. A lot of what you're talking about is like a lot of tenets of improv, right? Did you take any improv classes or anything like that before this? Or is this just stuff that you've naturally picked up playing role-playing games so much?
It's kind of who I am as a person. I'm just going to say it like that. If you've ever had a conversation with me, you'll notice that my voice will take on like 47 different lanes in the course of conversation. So I went through like my fun, awkward phase in high school where it wasn't like I wasn't ugly, but boys told me I was ugly, and I believed that lie. So I didn't have looks, had to have a personality. So I got hobbies. And did random stuff. And that's what I did. Like, I also, like, so much of this started early. Like, I went to my first comic book store when I was 5 with my grandpa Jack. That was one of the things that we would do when I would come to visit California from Georgia or wherever we were living, because I was an Army brat. So there's all these different parts. It was from him, my dad. He came home from work, and we would watch Toonami together. And we collected all the Dragon Ball Z VHS, so like the sides lined up. He used to come home and just read manga. Like, I would call him a couple months ago before he passed, and just like, "What are you doing?" "I'm just reading some Naruto, my manga." Just like sitting at his. And my dad has this great voice. My dad sounds like James Earl Jones. It's the most it was the most buttery, beautiful voice in the whole entire world. But he taught me so much of that. He used to stay up late at night if my mom had to work, and we would play Marvel vs. Capcom. And he played Tekken. There was so much that we would do, and games and nerd culture, geekness, it's always who I've been, and I'm proud of it. Give me my Doctor Who, give me like all of my fandoms. I am a fangirl. I'm proud of it. There's no shame in it. I meet people now that are like my colleagues, my peers, and I'm straight fangirl, and I don't even care. I'm pretty sure I sat and talked to Joe Manganiello for like 20 minutes about One Tree Hill. Not even kidding. Because I have a lot of feelings about his character, Owen. And I thought it was really great. He was playing a recovering alcoholic who was also tending a bar, which is just, it's interesting. And then he showed up. He was trying to date Brooke Davis, who was my favorite character on the show. And I was like, I really like this dude as an actor. He's really good on this show. And then he was on True Blood. And I was like, I'm going to pick up this show. So I read all the books for True Blood. And then I watched the show. And I was like, oh, I do like this dude. And I've supported him all the stuff that he's done since. And now we get to, like, talk. And I'm like, hi, I'm Krystina. And he's like, I know. And I'm like, that's funny.
That's amazing. It is very cool, right? And your knowledge of nerd culture runs deep, right? And I seeing you do all of your different cosplay things, and just following you on Twitter and the different media you talk about and stuff is so awesome. It's great because I feel like I get a lot of new things to check out from you. So can we talk about the cosplay for a little bit? How did you get into doing cosplay, and how do you get to be at your level?
Ooh, so again, like we used to like make our costumes for Halloween. We never really like bought store-bought costumes or anything like that. I do now because nobody got time. Yeah, I happened upon a convention. Like no joke, I'd gone to Atlanta for St. Patrick's Day with some friends, and MomoCon was in the lobby of the hotel we were staying at. And I was like, follow the people with the tails. And I got so excited. And I think it was in that moment, like it kind of hit me like, what are you doing? Like, this is what you should do. This is what you want to do. And I was like, I'm going to get to that. And then in that time period, I packed up my car, moved to California, and was working at a bank. Then I was working in real estate. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do this thing. And then one day I was like, nah, I'm going to cosplay. I'm going to get dressed up and I'm going to go to a convention. And I think the first one I did back was probably, Lieutenant Uhura was the first one I did before I moved to California. I went to my first convention, which was Dragon Con, which is a huge thing and overwhelming. But there's so much there's Buffy and Dexter and Voldemort, and everyone's just surrounding you, and you're like Belle in the library, just spinning in a circle with all of this culture around you. It's amazing. It's like, I'm going to move to California, and I'm going to do one nerdy thing that gets me on the convention circuit, so I can just go to conventions for the rest of my life and hang out. That was my goal.
That's awesome. And I mean, the very first con that I went to was Dragon Con. I was living in Atlanta working for Adult Swim, and they were like, we need you to go to this thing. And I was like, okay. And it was incredible, right? Like it really is. That to have that as one of your first cons will ruin some other cons for you, frankly, because it is so big and awesome. And there's so much going on that it's really cool to see. And now you've got pictures of yourself with, Brie Larson dressed as Captain Marvel. You're dressed as Captain Marvel. She's not, which is just wild and awesome to see. So it seems like cosplaying has helped you continue to rise in the nerd world.
That's where the start of it is. So I went to my first convention was NerdBotCon. That was when I did the Gwynnm and just decided to go to that convention one day. But I was like, I'm going to put a lot into this. I'm going to craft a whole look. I'm going to hire my makeup artist to do this super cool, like veins coming out of the face. And between me, Bonnie does my makeup for everything that I do. Like she did my makeup at my wedding. She's just amazing. And so she's helped create these looks. Like she did the Wakanda Wonder Woman face paint that we did it was like a Wonder Woman Black Panther crossover. And cosplay opened a lot of doors for me, but a lot of people opened doors for me in cosplay also. Like, oh, your stuff is cool. And people were really like people that supported it and shared. And I think people liked what they saw. And then other stuff started happening. Other doors started opening and people were like, oh, do you do this? And I didn't say no to stuff. Like I only said no to things that just didn't vibe with me as a person. I don't believe in using my voice for just because. I think if I don't believe it, why would I say it?
Yeah. I think that's a good thing to stick to. And I think sometimes people get involved in something they don't believe in and it shows. And I think one of the things that really comes through, especially when you're playing games or cosplaying or anything public facing, is the passion that you have for all of this stuff. Hey everybody, wanted to take a quick break to let you know that this episode of Tabletop Babble is brought to you by Kobold Press and their new Kickstarter for the Scarlet Citadel. Once a functional fortress and the cradle of wizards, little now remains of the Scarlet Citadel. on the surface. However, the place is known among adventurers, lore keepers, and well-trod stairs lead down into the depths. This is the first dungeon-centric adventure design that Kobold Press has tackled for 5th edition, and the design effort is led by TSR and Wizards of the Coast veteran Steve Winter, working with notes and characters from Kobold Press publisher Wolfgang Bauer's home game. The Scarlet Citadel includes at least 6 levels of dungeon exploration with lavish maps. Plus, they are blowing through the stretch goals. There's a town base, appendices of additional monsters and characters, and a full suite of PDF and virtual tabletop options from Roll20 to Fantasy Grounds. Find out more and back it now over at koboldpress.com and tell them DSPN sent you. Let's get back to the babble. I do want to talk about Barra Fawcett because how could we not? How could we not talk about Barra Fawcett? So you got to play Honey Heist 3 with Critical Role. It was uproarious and amazing. Can we talk, like, for people who don't know, who is Barra Fawcett and what was it all about?
Well, Barra Fawcett is a nice-looking bear with a green top hat and stole on, even though she already has her own fur. It was really cool. I got to that was probably I don't know, that was a weird moment for me to be there filming that with Mary McGlynn and just Noelle Stevenson and Laura Bailey, who I stared at like a weirdo, and then Danny Carr, and of course Marisha's telling the story. Brittany Wallachie is there. It's still one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had. I had so much fun. I was super sniffly and did not feel that great, but I had so much fun, and I was so nervous and started crying right before. And then Taliesin came and gave me a hug and was like, "It's going to be okay." And I was like, "You just appeared out of nowhere to give me love. It's amazing." And, oh, what a moment. What a hug. I miss those. And it's this, I get hugs now, but I mean, like, those hugs of like, "Oh my goodness, I haven't seen you in a really long time. Here's some comfort." Woo. Yeah, the game was fantastic. Marisha asked me to do it, and it's like, heck yeah, I'm going to do it. I get to play a bear. I get to growl at some point. Like, at one point, we did like a slow motion scene with like a picture, just all these fancy looking bears going. And it was it was a cultural moment for me. I'm just gonna have to say, on my list of things, that was a moment.
It's very cool. Well, and now you've been reunited with Marisha as Bob, right, on Dimension 20's Leviathan show, which we've gotten to see a couple episodes so far, and there's more coming out. How has that experience been? Because that looks like everybody is having a great time kind of doing that, and it's very different, because you're all kind of, obviously COVID, right? We're all quarantined right now, or we should be, and it is just as fun to see you all connecting that way, right? Like, as opposed to in a big studio.
I had so much fun filming that. And just this, we shot 6 episodes. Episode 3 comes out on this Wednesday. And just to be with my friends in this capacity, yeah, we're telling a story, but we're also laughing and having fun, and we're telling jokes and chat and just hanging out in this way. Like, yeah, it's technically work, but it's more so just hanging out with your friends. And I'm getting to be surrounded by some of the greatest storytellers that exist in our realm. And I don't feel worthy, but I'm there, so I'm doing my best. And I love them all. It was such a great experience. It was so fun. I needed a game that was like, of course, there's going to be some stuff, no spoilers, but it's great. But I want to have fun. I want the bulk of it to be, oh, this made me laugh. Everything doesn't have to be murder, murder, stab, stab, attack. And this was just fun and just experience. And I loved this character from the session 0. Just to we were thinking up characters and we're just kind of spitballing. And Brennan says the Gold Gardens. And I'm like, what? And he's like, it's a lounge. And then I'm like, boom, Asimar, night lounge singer. She's gonna have her wings out and be super fancy, and she's gonna talk like Betty Boop and Marilyn. Like, it's like she's all these like ingenues. Like, she's like Dorothy Dandridge. She's Marilyn Monroe. She's just so. I'm going to tell you everything that influences Bob, and it comes to me because somebody said in one of the comments. Yes, I read all the comments. Sometimes they make me cry, but somebody says Krystina stepped out of character, and it was like a slap in the face to kind of see this switch from this kind of bubbly voice to that. And I wanted that. I wanted that like total immersion, because there's this quote. And they said Marilyn Monroe was walking down the street with her photographer, and she turned to him and said, "Do you want to see me become her?" And she was just walking down the street all nondescript. No one's paying any attention to her. And all of a sudden she just like turns on this whole scary, floating, loving kind of vibe that just kind of draws people in and gets attention wherever you go. And like, I loved that thought of just like being someone who's just, she's fun, she's light, but she's also like in command of this sensual energy. It's amazing.
Yes, that is so cool. And it is, I mean, Bob is just so great and so much fun. And I agree, like it is a totally immersive thing. And it is, I felt the same way, right? After hearing you speak in that voice for so long, in the context of the show, to hear you use your regular voice was like, whoa, oh boy. What?
I know how you sound, but do I?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so now, you've got that. Into the Motherlands is coming up, which just, we had B. Dave and Tanya on and talked about that show. It is awesome. The cast and the developers are just some of the greatest people in the business. This thing is very, very cool. And it was funny when I was talking to Tanya and B. Dave, they were like, yeah, no pressure, haha, because now everybody expects so much from us. But I do think it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. You haven't played your first game yet. It's going to be, as of this recording, it'll be coming up on Sunday. Are you excited to dive in with this crew?
This is from me in the past to you in the future. I'm playing Scylla, and I got her name from Battlestar Galactica. Wink.
That's really cool. It just looks like, again, Tanya and Eugenio. Great group of people that you'll be getting to role play with. As of course, well deserved as always for you to be in this cast. I know you were saying earlier you didn't feel worthy. I think you're totally worthy. That like Thor's hammer, you have both. You have both Thor's hammer and his big old axe that you can lift above your head.
And Captain America's shield, for I am Captain America.
That is correct. That was great, by the way.
I needed that moment. That was super strong. And the photographer who did this, his name is Corey Angelo, and he's one of my husband's best friends. Like, he was at my wedding. He's a super cool dude, but he's also like a rock and roll photographer for Rolling Stone. So like, he shot like the cast of Black Panther. He's shot like Jason Momoa, like all these cool people, and me. And like, to have him do like my Captain America was just like, how does this happen? It was like, I'm obsessed with those, man. They're so cool. I felt like a badass.
Yeah, they are truly, truly awesome. And you look like a badass. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the future, right? Like RPGs, streaming RPGs and stuff in the future. Like, it really does feel like we're kind of just at the beginning of figuring out what can we do with shows and, where does this industry go and that kind of thing, right? And more people are picking up D&D, largely due to streaming. What kind of hopes do you have for the future of the industry, either personal or like for the industry as a whole, whatever you want to talk about?
I would like them to be like soap operas, word from my grandmother. I want there to be of time where people are like, well, I'm going to go watch my stories. And your stories are D&D stories. I would like to see that happen. And I would like to be in whatever soap opera style D&D campaign that is, because it sounds like fun. And can you imagine just the nonsense and shenanigans? I want to see, I think it's limitless.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we don't eat each other and cut off our nose to spite our face, then I think we'll be fine. And the more voices we add to the story, the more types of character, the more types of people that we invite to the table, that we include in our storytelling, the greater the stories become. The more enriched our culture becomes, the more that we learn from each other. Because we use these games as an escape at times, but we also heal and learn so much through them. And I think that's something that people need to see more of, is how healing this can be for even a family campaign or just something to do. We're in quarantine. People are looking for stuff to do. Start a campaign with your family. And I want to see people not dismissing things as just nerd related, or that's for this type of person or this type of person. I just want to see people enjoying art as a medium and just using it to be with one another. Like right now, this is what we have. Like for us to get together and tell that story, even with Pirates of Leviathan, like that time together telling a story, it's healing through the screen. It's healing through the screen. Each of us who need that outlet, who need that break, who need that space to exist and to be whole, and games are giving us that space. Even the world's shrinking as far as places you can go at the moment, which is just wise to be cautious and to take care, because it's not just about us, it's about everyone as a whole. And no one should have to deal with unnecessary loss. But to have this outlet while so many people are hurting, I want more people to know it exists. I want more people to use it to work through their stuff. I want more people to feel as if they can love this thing out loud. Then they're not going to be taunted for it or made to feel as if they, oh, you just learned about this. Oh, you just started doing this. Again, I go back to everyone who becomes a professional is once a beginner. You have to give people the space to learn, to grow, to make mistakes. Don't rules people out of the game. People learn differently. Some people learn as they do things. Like you could throw a book at me all day. Yes, I comprehend it. Yes, I can do all those things, but I have to actually do it to know how it's done. Like I'm a repetitive doer. I used to rewrite notes. I still do. I rewrite all my notes so that it's committed to memory and that repetition. And some people's brains work that way, and we have to allow for that. So when you are yelling at someone about rules, they may not get it. Like Sean Sunday has the D&D 5e screen for neurodiverse people that explains things to you. Like it's like the DM screen, but it's like a player screen. And that thing helps me because sometimes my brain is like, I can tell you the date of a Real Housewives fight from 2000. I can also tell you about a historic performance from Whitney Houston. But you asked me what I did 5 minutes ago and what this move means that I just read about in passing. I'm not talking about. I need to do it, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, that's this. But give people that space to learn as they do. Don't put so much pressure on someone in their first game that they're a bard, so they have to sing. They don't. Or that they have to create this elaborate look to go with it. Just show up. You don't have to do all that. You can, and there's no, like, it doesn't take away from anything. See, look, the universe agrees. As it's this train. We were getting Disney Princess humming birds in the background, but now we're getting the train choo-choo. I know I'm supposed to be talking about what I want to see, and that is I want to see more people having the ability to learn it. In the format that we have right now, if you have people that are able to tell those stories in that impactful way, because some people are stage performers and some people, like, that live format is not for them. So create opportunities, I hope. I'll talk about stuff. Hire me.
Yeah, please do hire Krystina. In fact, let's talk about that. Where can people find you if they want to hire you?
You can find me on the Twitters and also Instagram at Krystina Arielle, Krystina Arielle. And if we talk and stuff, then I give you my email and we can go from there. But people in the world are crazy. So we'll work on it. I will say dangerous and not in control of their actions. I will not say crazy. People are inherently selfish and think only of themselves and cannot take rejection. So therefore they lash out in ways that are ridiculous. So let me clarify that.
Sure. Yeah, that's good. That's very, very good. And it is a good clarification. And I think certainly no one knows that better than you. I have seen on kind of a daily basis the fools that you have to deal with, the selfish people you have to deal with. And I have to say, those people suck. And you're awesome. And I am very glad that despite them, you continue to create and put good stuff out in the world.
Oh, if I stopped because people didn't want me to do stuff, I'd never do anything.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today on Tabletop Babble. I really, really appreciate it. That was a great interview with Krystina. What an amazing person. So glad that I got to speak with her and you all got to listen on Tabletop Babble. You know, people, Tabletop Babble is going to continue, but I am leaving as the host after episode 200. That's right, just 2 episodes left for me as the host of this program. But it's going to go over to Geekspective, where Amber and John and Kenny are going to take over. They're going to do some amazing things. We're going to have them on as the guests of episode 200. So listen then and listen well, my friends. But I would love to give them a great gift. I would love to give them a show that has a strong iTunes presence, or should I say Apple Podcast presence. So head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review for this show. And they will be off to a strong start over there on the Geekspective network. I cannot wait to tell you what they have planned. It's going to be big stuff. It's going to be awesome. This show is getting a total upgrade and overhaul. All right, people, you can find me on Twitter at James Introcaso, JamesIntrocaso. Also, check out Burn Bright, an original science fantasy role-playing game I created for Roll20 with an amazing team. Head on over to burnbright.com to find out more. Tabletop Babble is a show on the Don't Split the Podcast Network. Thanks to Rudy Basso for founding it with me. This episode was edited by Nate Paulzenga. Our theme music, which you're listening to right now, was provided by Battle Bards. Everybody, I've been James Introcaso, and it has been an honor.
Hi, Autumn here. Being a teenager can be hard, especially when you're the new girl in school.
That's why it's important to study up on the changes your body will be going through.
Especially if those changes happen when a round pink alien turns you into magical girls.
Even magical girls like us have to deal with mean teachers.
Yeah, like those suspicious new male teachers and their boss, Misogyny.
Even though Misogyny is super hot, she and the other teachers are evil aliens in disguise who torment students to feed off their emotions.
But we're going to defeat them all with love and friendship.
And terrifyingly powerful magic.
And maybe a knife.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to roll for that.
Find out who triumphs on the latest season of Bits Before Crits, Magical Girls versus the Male Gaze.
We are the magical girls.
And the male gaze believe in elevating women's voices, so they're not on this ad.
Check out Bits Before Crits, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Bits Before Crits?
Bits Before Crits.
See
ya there.